Have you ever wondered what would happen if Satoru Gojo fought the strongest anime characters? Would Luffy be able to bypass his infinity? What about Jinwoo or Goku? Well, no matter the outcome, one thing's for sure. This video is going to be insanely fun. So, for starters, we have Luffy from One Piece. And to make things even more interesting, we're taking Luffy in his Gear 5 form. Now, if Luffy could somehow bypass Gojo's infinity, he could win this fight with ease. But the real question is, can he actually do that? Well, if we consider Luffy's advanced armament haki, it attacks internally. However, it still requires the user's force to travel through space to reach the target. Gojo's infinity, though, infinitely divides space, meaning the attack would travel forever without ever reaching him. Because of that, haki simply isn't an option here. So let's see if Gear 5 can change anything. You see, while Gear 5 allows Luffy to give rubber properties to his surroundings, even to things like lightning, he has never shown the ability to rubberize abstract concepts such as infinite space itself. On the other hand, Gojo has a guaranteed win condition with unlimited void. Luffy may have incredible resistance to physical and blunt force attacks, but he has no resistance to infinite information flooding his mind. If he gets caught in the domain, he would be completely mentally paralyzed, leaving him wide open for Hollow Purple, a technique that erases matter entirely. So in this round, Luffy loses to Gojo. Now there's one thing even Gojo's Hollow Purple can't destroy, that subscribe button right there. Go ahead, click it and see for yourself. Next, we have Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Okay, we can all agree that this guy doesn't really stand a chance here, but just to give him a fair shot, let's take him in his Demon King form. You see, Demon King Tanjiro relies entirely on physical attacks, Blood Demon Art shockwaves, and energy blasts. And honestly, none of these work against Gojo. Now, some might argue, what about his regeneration? Well, Gojo can bypass that too by using Hollow Purple, which, as I mentioned earlier, erases matter entirely. So in this matchup, Gojo wins with ease. Next up, Denji from Chainsaw Man. Once again, it's the same story. Denji is a physical brawler who relies on cutting, tearing, and overwhelming his opponents with speed and regeneration. However, every attack he uses still has to travel through space, which means he can't touch Gojo at all. On top of that, the Chainsaw Man universe has already shown clear vulnerability to information-based attacks. If you've read the manga, there's a character named Cosmo who uses an ability very similar to Gojo's unlimited void, flooding the victim's mind with the total understanding of the universe and rendering them completely paralyzed. Since even powerful entities like Santa Claus were defeated by this mechanic, it's safe to say that if it lands on Denji, he has no real counter for it either. So once again, Gojo takes this one. Next, we have Naruto. Well, to make this battle interesting, we're taking Naruto in his 6-path Sage mode. And honestly, in this form, Naruto completely outclasses Gojo in raw power and speed. However, the main hurdle for him is still Gojo's infinity. So the real question is, can he bypass it? And the answer is yes, he actually can. You see, in this form, Naruto possesses truth-seeking orbs, which function similarly to the inverted spear of heaven or domain amplification, as they can neutralize the technique powering Gojo's infinity upon contact. Since Naruto moves faster than Gojo can perceive, he can blitz him and take him down with ease. Now, you might be thinking, what about Hollow Purple or domain expansion? And yes, those are lethal techniques, but Gojo would never get the chance to use them against an opponent who can literally move and attack at light speed. So, in this matchup, Naruto takes the win. Next up, Asta from Black Clover. Now, to be honest, Asta is arguably Gojo's worst nightmare, a character who isn't just faster and stronger, but also a hard counter to the very concept of energy itself. You see, Asta's anti-magic functions almost identically to the inverted spear of heaven, the one weapon confirmed to bypass infinity. Asta's swords, along with his anti-mana zone, would neutralize the cursed energy fueling Gojo's barrier on contact, allowing Asta to decapitate him instantly. And that's not all. Asta's Demon Slasher Katana has already shown the ability to cut through spatial magic, proving he can sever the fabric of space space itself. On top of that, true Devil Union Asta scales to faster than light speeds, having blitz characters who move at light speed, while Gojo caps out at massively hypersonic levels. Additionally, Asta's anti-magic flows directly through his body, meaning it would likely nullify the sure hit effect of Unlimited Void, just as he negates mana zones in his own verse. So in this matchup, Asta wins with ease. Now we have Deku from My Hero Academia. At his peak, using Gear Shift and One for All at 100%, Deku is vastly stronger and faster than Gojo, capable of altering the weather on a continental scale and moving speeds where even sound can't keep up. But once again, just like Denji, Luffy, and Tanjiro, Deku has zero counters to infinity, and if Gojo decides to use his strongest techniques, Deku's danger sense would do nothing but scream at him to run. So there's really not much more to say here. Deku loses this one. Next up, Guts from Berserk. Guts is the very embodiment of human struggle, but even he lacks the ability to bypass Gojo's infinity. While the Dragon Slayer exists within the interstice and can wound astral beings, Gojo's defense isn't spiritual in nature. It's the manipulation of physics and space itself. Guts' sword still needs to physically travel through space to connect, which simply isn't possible. On top of that, Guts' durability, enhanced by the Berserker armor, is entirely physical. It may force his broken body to keep fighting, but it offers no protection against Hollow Purple, a technique that erases matter at the atomic level, so Guts loses this one. Next, we have Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Alright, for this matchup, we first need to answer one key question. Can Jotaro's time stop bypass Gojo's infinity or not? And to do that, we need to dive a little into physics and how infinity actually works. So, hear me out for a second. Gojo's infinity functions by infinitely dividing the space between him and an incoming object. Crucially, this process relies on the equation speed is equal to distance divided by time. Now, when Jotaro activates Star Platinum the world, time itself becomes 0. And if we plug that into our formula, where time equals to 0, speed becomes undefined. In simple terms, the process of slowing an object can no longer occur. And if that process can't happen, Gojo's infinity stops working as well. Because of this, Star Platinum, which is already capable of moving at faster than light speeds and precise enough to catch bullets point blank, can easily strike Gojo within the 5-second time stop. So in this matchup, Jotaro takes the win. Next, we have Eren from Attack on Titan. Alright, no need to drag this one out. Even with the founding Titan and the rumbling, Eren has absolutely no chance against Gojo. One Hollow Purple and it's all over. So in this matchup, Eren loses with ease. Next up, Jinwoo from Solo Leveling. For this matchup, I'd say that while Gojo's infinity is usually a massive problem, Jinwoo actually possesses the perfect counters for it. First, there's Ruler's Authority, a telekinetic ability that applies force directly to the target using mana. Unlike a physical punch that has to travel through space, this power manipulates the target's coordinates and gravity instantly, bypassing the need to cross an infinite distance to reach Gojo. But even if we assume that somehow doesn't work, Jinwoo still has another option, his personal dimension, the Land of Eternal Rest. Inside this realm, Jinwoo is omnipotent. He controls the physics, reality, and existence of that plane. If Gojo is dragged into this dimension, his spatial manipulation becomes meaningless in a world where Jinwoo dictates the law of space itself. And finally, when it comes to Unlimited Void, Jinwoo is the very concept of death. His consciousness transcends time, and he can instantly swap places with any of his 10 million shadow soldiers stationed outside the domain, breaking it from the exterior. So in this matchup, Jinwoo takes the win. Next, we have Gon from Hunter x Hunter. Gon is an enhancer whose entire arsenal, Jajangken, rock, paper, and scissors, relies on delivering physical force through space. And by now, we all know how attacks like that work against Gojo. Whether it's a Nen-enhanced punch or a projectile, the attack would simply slow down indefinitely and never reach Gojo's skin. Even adult Gon doesn't change that. He still can't penetrate Gojo's defense. So in this matchup, Gon loses this one. Next up, Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach. Now, in the Bleach verse, it's stated that if one fighter's Reiatsu is vastly superior to another's, they can completely nullify the opponent's abilities. Ichigo, who scales to your watch, a being capable of merging 3 planetary realms, operates on an energy output that's dimensions above Gojo's city-level reserves. But let's assume Gojo somehow survives that gap. Even then, Ichigo can simply use Gran Granare Zero, an attack that warps and cuts through space itself. For those unfamiliar with Bleach lore, the release of Granare Zero is forbidden inside Las Noches because it distorts the dimension so violently that it could destroy the entire fortress. And since Sukuna defeated Gojo by expanding his technique to target the world, or more specifically, space itself, Ichigo's attack functions on the same principle, completely bypassing Gojo's infinity. On top of that, the stat gap here is absolutely insurmountable. Ichigo would knock Gojo out before he could even process what's happening. So in this matchup, Ichigo takes the win. Next, we have Light Yagami from Death Note. Okay, no need to drag this one out. Light would simply ask Gojo his name. After all, fighters usually introduce themselves before a battle, and knowing Gojo's personality, he'd absolutely give it away. After all, he is Satoru Gojo because he is the strongest. The moment Light gets his name, it's over. One entry in the Death Note and game done, meaning Light wins purely through brains. Now we have Mob from Mob Psycho 100. While Mob is an esper of truly catastrophic power, his telekinesis is almost always portrayed as psychic energy that travels or manifests as a wave of aura around the target, and any form of energy that has no way to move through space is stopped by Gojo's infinity, regardless of how strong it is. But the real deciding factor here is unlimited void. Even though Mob's berserk state is a subconscious defense mechanism that activates when he loses consciousness, it still relies on his biological brain to function. Unlimited void doesn't just knock the opponent out, it floods the brain with infinite information, causing complete biological paralysis and potentially severe brain damage. And on top of that, there's Hollow Purple, which can erase Mob in an instant. So in this matchup, Mob loses. Next, we have Rimuru Tempest. Okay, to make this one a little more interesting, we won't be taking Rimuru in his true dragon form, because that would be straight up cheating. And even without that form, Rimuru is still a hard counter to Gojo's entire arsenal. You see, Rimuru possesses space-time domination, which allows for instantaneous teleportation. Unlike physical movement, this ability manipulates coordinates directly, bypassing the infinite distance created by Gojo's infinity. On top of that, Rimuru's ultimate skill, Beelzebub, can consume anything, including organic matter, energy, magic, and even space itself. That means Rimuru could simply consume Hollow Purple the moment it's fired. As for Unlimited Void, Rimuru houses Raphael, a supercomputer-like consciousness capable of processing information millions of times faster than a human. The infinite information of the domain would be instantly analyzed, filtered, and discarded without ever affecting Rimuru's main consciousness. So in this matchup, Rimuru wins with ease. Next, we have Frieren. Now, she is a mage of the highest caliber with over a millennium of experience. Her primary offensive spell, Zoltrak, is a beam of condensed mana, and just like any other attack, it still has to travel through space, meaning it can't reach Gojo in any meaningful way. While Frieren does possess magic capable of dispelling barriers, Gojo's infinity isn't a barrier. It's a manipulation of space-time itself. Unless she has an attack that can sever the world, or a time-halting spell, which she simply doesn't based on her canon feats, there's no realistic way for her to break through it. So in this matchup, Frieren loses. Next up, Natsu from Fairy Tail. For this matchup, we'll be taking Natsu in his END form, because in this state, he directly counters Gojo's infinity. During his fight against Zeref, Natsu explicitly burned through time itself, negating Zeref's time reversal magic. Since Gojo's infinity requires the existence of time to divide space, which, as we already discussed with Jotaro's time stop, removing or negating time causes the entire process of infinity to collapse. By burning the very concept of time, Natsu effectively renders infinity null and void. Also, in this form, Natsu's flames aren't just physical heat. They're conceptual attacks, capable of destroying magic and even abstract laws. On top of that, Natsu scales to multi-continental levels and moves at faster than light speeds. And even if Gojo attempted Unlimited Void, Natsu has already shown the ability to burn through infinite magic, meaning he could literally burn the domain's barrier from the inside out. So in this matchup, Natsu takes the win. Next up, Anos Voldigode from the Misfit of Demon King Academy. Okay, to make this one a bit more interesting, we won't be giving Anos his sword Venus de Noa, because that weapon can literally destroy everything in creation, including laws, concepts, and providence itself. So the question is, does Ano still stand a chance without it? Well, absolutely yes. Even without his sword, Anos can destroy opponents with his heartbeat alone, and his magic operates on a conceptual level, capable of erasing the very concept of Gojo's existence. And if you're wondering about Unlimited Void or Hollow Purple, those won't work either. Anos can simply destroy an entire dimension simply by powering up, or even stepping on it. So yeah, in this matchup, Anos takes the win. Next, we have Sid Kageno from Eminence in Shadow. Alright, for this matchup, Sid's magical feats already make him a direct counter to Gojo's Infinity, as well as explicitly include shattering spatial dimensions. During the Sanctuary arc, Sid used his signature move, I Am Atomic, not just to defeat his enemy, but to overload and completely shatter the Sanctuary itself, a desperate pocket dimension containing an infinite amount of magical energy. If Sid can flood an entire dimension with his magic, Gojo's personal spatial barrier, something far smaller by comparison, would simply collapse under the sheer density of Sid's mana, and physically, Sid is an absolute monster. He has faster than light reactions, and can even survive in the vacuum of space. Even if Gojo attempted Unlimited Void, Sid's mind is already, frankly, broken, and his ability to manipulate his own brain with magic suggests he could either mitigate the damage or simply atomic the domain from the inside instantly. So in this matchup, Sid takes the win. Next up, Okaroon from Dandadan. Okay, no need to drag this one out. Okaroon's only major asset here is his speed, but honestly, that means nothing if he can't even touch his opponent. So yeah, there's really not much to say. Okaroon loses this one. Next, we have Shinra from Fire Force. Well, to make this matchup fair, we won't be taking Shinra in his Shinra Banshoman form, because in that state, it's not just Shinra, but Mari and Sho as well, which would technically turn this into a 3v1. Now, Shinra's biggest advantage here is his faster than light speed, which allows him to decompose his body into particles. However, even if Shinra turns into particles to move at light speed, those particles are still physical matter traveling through space, and anything that travels through space is caught in Gojo's infinite dimension of space, meaning infinity still stops him completely. On top of that, Shinra has no real answer to Unlimited Void. He's notoriously hot-headed and instinct-driven, with no demonstrated resistance to infinite information flooding his mind. Now, to be clear, if we did take Shinra in his Shinra Banshoman form, he would win with ease by simply rewriting the laws of the universe. But since we're not using that form, I'd give this one to Gojo. Next, we have Kaiju number 8. We'll keep this one short. Kafka Hibino has insane destructive power, strong enough to one-shot giant kaiju and punch enemies straight into the stratosphere. But once again, none of those attacks can bypass Gojo's Infinity, so there's no need to drag this out. Kafka loses this one. Next up, Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins. Meliodas' signature ability, Full Counter, reflects magical attacks directed at him. However, Infinity isn't a projectile or an active attack. It's a passive state. You can't reflect a barrier that simply exists. On top of that, Meliodas' physical attacks are still bound by the laws of physics and must travel through space, meaning they would stop infinitely close to Gojo without ever reaching him. Meliodas has no real counter to Unlimited Void. While he's endured over 3,000 years of suffering, that's emotional trauma, not infinite information processing. His brain is still biological, and he has no feats of instantly handling infinite data. So in this matchup, Meliodas loses. Next, we have Goku from Dragon Ball. For this matchup, let's nerf Goku a bit and not give him Ultra Instinct. And honestly, it still doesn't matter. You see, in the Dragon Ball universe, sufficient raw power is shown to outright negate spatial and temporal manipulation. Goku's power, which can shake an infinite void, implies he can overload Gojo's finite spatial manipulation. He doesn't need to cross the infinite distance. He can simply power up and shatter the local space-time containing Gojo, effectively breaking the jar that infinity exists within. So there's no need to drag this one out. Goku wins with ease. And lastly, we have none other than Saitama. Okay, do I even need to explain this one? Saitama literally kicked away a hyperspace gate and grabbed a portal, proving that he can physically touch and manipulate spatial distortions. If he can kick a hole in space-time, he can simply punch through infinity. Physics in One Punch Man is merely a suggestion that Saitama chooses to ignore. So yeah, he wins this one, but we're not done yet, because because in this video, we made What If Sukuna Fought the Strongest Anime Characters. Go ahead and check out his score as well.